Hi everybody, this is Johnny from Lines and Bowties, and recently I've been thinking about Sonic the Hedgehog 3, particularly its opening 20 seconds, and quite frankly, it's genius. Considering the short time frame that it has, it sets the scene for this new adventure, a powerful new nemesis for our hero, a goal to achieve, and the means to reach it. You probably don't believe me yet, even though you've just seen the clip in its entirety while I've been talking. Well, it's time to slow things down and look at it step by step. The scene begins with Sonic riding atop his biplane, the Tornado, being flown by his best friend and sidekick Miles Tails Prower. This follows immediately from the events of Sonic 2, where having defeated Dr. Robotnik, Sonic is saved in the nick of time by his airborne associate. At least, we assume this takes place immediately after Sonic 2. Realistically, Tails probably parked somewhere to refuel. The original opening actually had Sonic surfing to the coast, but that doesn't matter because this intro is so much better. This opening thematically picks up where Sonic 2 left off. Sonic jumps off the plane. Hint, you'll be jumping a lot in this game, and Sonic knows how to do this. Also, note that Sonic is jumping into a big blue stretch of water. This would spell instant death for our blue hero in his previous adventures. While prior Sonic games had water levels, this trajectory that Sonic fell at during his descent showed that he would surely pass through the bottom of the screen, a fate synonymous with death in classic video games. But lo and behold, a bright yellow hedgehog emerges from where Sonic disappeared, flying over the ocean blue, outspeeding the plane and reaching the shores with lives intact. A few things of note here, aside from surely confusing every child that didn't get all the Chaos Emeralds in Sonic 2. 1. This powered up version of Sonic is faster than regular Sonic, and therefore he is awesome and you want to play as him. 2. You are defying gravity, also awesome. Number 3. What is it that you are flying over? Water. Sonic's ultimate nemesis, and with this new form you never need to hear that pulse-pounding drowning music ever again. Everything looks fine and dandy until this red creature launches himself out of the ground, knocking back Super Sonic into his regular form, steals the Chaos Emeralds, chuckles at you, and then runs away. There's a lot to go into here, but these few seconds escalate this, for me, into one of the greatest video game openings of all time. First off, Super Sonic is harmed by this strange new creature. Knuckles. His name is Knuckles. It's in the instructions and on the back of the box, so let's stop pretending. Anyway, assuming you did unlock Super Sonic in Sonic 2, then you know that he's pretty much invincible to enemy hits. He's still vulnerable to crushing hazards, and if you run out of rings he reverts back to regular Sonic, but enemy attacks pretty much didn't hurt him, yet one uppercut from Knuckles is enough to knock all 7 Chaos Emeralds out of him. This makes Knuckles appear to be a very significant threat to Sonic. However, just a few seconds ago, Super Sonic was shown to be the ultimate in cool characters that you want to be, and yet this newcomer has just one-upped him with a single uppercut. After the punch, the Chaos Emeralds become visible for the first time. We see that the yellow hedgehog was Sonic all along, if it weren't obvious, and thus we deduce that the Chaos Emeralds are what made him Super. That's very useful information for people who didn't play Sonic 2, but even more so for people who did play Sonic 2 but only managed to collect some of the Emeralds. Not only does this inform them for this game, but it also retroactively helps them to realise something that they missed out on in the last game. Anyway, back to the Emeralds. Knuckles grabs them before Sonic can even do anything, laughs, and runs away with the Emeralds. What is Sonic famous for? What is he named after? His speed. Yet not only is this new character able to overpower Sonic, but he literally ran rings around him, mocked him, and then ran away. You instinctively chase after him when the level starts, but he's gone. Knuckles is better than you, and you need to prove him wrong. He robbed you of your powers, your emeralds, your right to be Super Sonic, but you'll show him. And thus the stage is set, and the themes are laid bare. You're going to regain your ability to become Super Sonic. You know how you're going to get it, by regaining the Chaos Emeralds. And you have a nemesis that is standing in your way, that you already hate for humiliating you and taking your powers away, and you understand that he's powerful, but you still want to beat him. In a lot of ways, this opening is similar to how many Metroidvania titles begin their games, where the player starts off in a more powerful state to get a taste of what it's like at full power, only to have it taken away from you, and yet it is shown in different ways to serve the themes of those games. Let's compare Sonic 3's opening to the openings of Metroid Prime and Castlevania Symphony of the Night. In Metroid Prime's introduction, you battle your way through the space frigate Orpheon using a large number of Samus's combat and mobility-focused abilities, such as the Morph Ball, Grapple Beam, and the new Scan Visor. After a battle with the Parasite Queen, you are rushed out of the frigate by a self-destruct countdown, but during your retreat, you are caught in an explosion that critically damages much of your equipment. Samus loses her powers in an accident during a critical moment, which is designed to create a panicked sense in the player during an admittedly easy part of the game. The easiness is important here to keep the illusion and emotions fresh within the player, otherwise the wonder would be lost in frustration. You rush out to your ship to land on the nearest planet in hopes of surviving in your newly weakened state, and, punctuated by the morning yet hopeful remix of the Brinstar theme, regrowing to and even exceeding your former glory. Onto Castlevania Symphony of the Night, where the rug is somehow pulled out from under the player twice. You start off the game as Richter Belmont, during the final section of the previous Castlevania game, Rondo of Blood, immediately before he challenges Dracula, which he quickly does so, and after some cheesy dialogue, Dracula is quickly disposed of. However, a quick cutscene informs the players that Richter disappeared after these events, yet years later is spotted inside of Castle Dracula, so it's up to the one-time Belmont ally and Dracula's son, Alucard, to storm the castle and find Belmont. Unlike the slower, stiff controls of the Belmonts, Alucard races through the forest and leaps through the castle gates, and the first few rooms are filled with enemies that die in one hit, with fiery explosions that are super satisfying, but before you become too comfortable with Alucard's new powers, Death appears and confiscates your weapon and armour. Your pride is hurt and your weapon strength and range is diminished, but Alucard needs to claw his way through his late father's castle to find the corrupted Belmont who has turned rogue. This game is entirely backwards compared to previous Castlevanias. It's open instead of linear, and you're playing as a vampire instead of a Belmont. Everything is turned on its head, literally as it turns out in the last third of the game. So how do these compare with Sonic 3's opening? Well, as I said before, they are created to set the stages for their respective games, and they set them up in different ways. Samus loses her ability to explore new regions, as that's the key reason you play Metroid games. No one character really caused the explosion, though you do see Ridley a few seconds earlier, so you might blame him. The focus is more on the loss of personal mobility, whereas in Sonic's case it's much more personal. Knuckles is specifically the reason that you lost your cool new powers, and you are directly focusing your anger towards him. One could say that Alucard has a similar experience with losing his power to Death, but during this scene and the rest of the game, Alucard, and the player, is focusing more on what happened to Richter Belmont, so Death is seen more as an obstacle and an annoyance, rather than the main antagonist. This double dose of rug pulling is to create a feeling of uncertainty within the player, that nothing can be taken for certain anymore, that you can't rely on things remaining concrete, and you must be willing to adapt to new ideas, which makes sense considering Symphony effectively changed what genre Castlevania represented, and it needed to frame this idea with the player. Sonic 3 was not this. It was strictly a sequel and a refinement to Sonic 2, and thus it did not need to make the player feel uncertain. They are focused on their hatred of Knuckles, and how you must defeat him. And to think, all of this establishment of setting, theme, tone is all done in a 20-second introductory cutscene with no dialogue. Makes you think, doesn't it? Speaking of which, what did you think, viewers? Did you like this video? Then please give me a thumbs up, or if you didn't like it, then feel free to give me a thumbs down, but more importantly, go down to the comments section and tell me why you didn't like it. Or, if you did like it, feel free to give me a positive comment. Also, if you want to see more videos, then check out the rest of our videos. You can see them at a link here. Here's a video. I don't know what video I'm going to link yet, but here's a video. And if you want to subscribe to our channel, links down there, where we will bring you more content as we make it. Also, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, links are down in the underbar. I'm Johnny from Lions and Bowties. See you next time.